Hey friends. I Something came through for me a few days ago, and it has stuck in a way. And I'll explain what I'm talking about, but it's a it's a sense. Sometimes when you have a particular emotional pattern and it is so pervasive, so either long standing or deeply ingrained, that it's almost like you think you can see it but you can't, or you see little wisps of it and you assume the wisp is the pattern, but it's not. It's just like one tail on the kite. In this metaphor, the kite has to have many tails. But it's I've noticed myself doing this. I've noticed myself identifying patterns, but noticing that identifying them doesn't fundamentally change much. Well, the other day I had something show up that felt new, and it was a statement. It was like an opening in my mind where I realized the phrase that came to me is, I am allowed to have what I want. And it was it was even more specific. It was, I am allowed to have what I want from the world. And the reason the from the world part was significant is that I realized that I have felt, and I have reacted. I've had this almost like, I mean, indignation is the wrong word, but it's like in the category. It's like a sense of entitledness, not in the negative sort of like blind belief that I should have access to whatever I want, but a sense of, this belongs to me, and kind of like wanting it, but the key distinction in that emotion has been that I've directed it at the wrong source. I've felt I deserve, I am allowed to have what I want from my family, from my partner, I've directed it at individuals and elements in my life that where the impulse actually sort of gets a little bit twisted when I apply it there, or when I have that expectation. It sort of twists me a little bit. It's not clean, it's not pure. Whereas the realization and the affirmation, I'm allowed to have what I want from the world, takes all of the responsibility onto myself for creating that, manifesting that, and receiving that from the world. I realize that I'm not being specific about what I want, about the thing, but that's first of all because this is almost like a global feeling that I had. It's not that I'm allowed to have what I want, and this is what I want. I want a Ferrari. I'm allowed to have a Ferrari. It's not specific in that way. It's also not opulent in that way, but it really, it was associated with some really deep satisfaction that I felt around a handful of creative projects I was working on and a handful of creative relationships, and feeling like, why do I feel like I'm not allowed to do this? Why do I feel like I have to, like, somehow either apologize for this or make up for this in some other way? I'm only allowed to do this work so much, and then I have to, like, do penance by doing something else. I was like, why do I believe that? That does not appear to be true. That's never been my experience, even. I have a phobia of it, that I'm somehow going to be held to account for the compensatory penance that I owe on the enjoyment that I've had and the satisfaction that I've had from this deeply inspiring work. But, so not only have I never had the experience of actually being forced to make up for it, but also it completely truncates my ability to fully invest in those things, because I keep feeling like I'm not allowed to do it. And that's where the phrase came in. I'm allowed to have what I want. I'm allowed to do this. I'm allowed to be this. From the world. I'm allowed to go into the world and receive sustenance for this contribution, which is the one I want to make. And something about that realization, it's like it shifted my whole perspective. It undid a knot. And the knot was, kind of like what I've described. The knot was this sense that somehow I don't have permission, or I am going to have to compensate, or there's some punishment or penance involved. It was like that knot has kind of like gone away for the last few days. I had this kind of come through maybe 2 days ago, 2 mornings ago, 3 mornings ago. And it's really interesting what it does to my sense of possibility, my sense of enjoyment, my sense of deep satisfaction. It's remarkable. And I think, going back to what I was saying kind of at the beginning of this post, it feels fundamental. It feels like something that a kind of overarching absence of permission to be who I want to be and have what I want to have and go out and claim that. It feels like it's been operative in ways that have allowed me to still be functional and see other patterns and identify them and sort of do some self-reflection and some learning, but never quite shake this underlying feeling that somehow, by being deeply satisfied by what I do, I'm cheating. I am gonna have to make up for it, right? Whatever, fill in the blank. As I've described what goes in that blank a couple different ways, but it's weird on some level, right? It's like bizarre. Why would you think that? There's no, especially when I have no experience to back it up. The world has never actually demanded that of me. So it's like, where did I get this idea? I don't know. It's a deep imprinting. But it feels awfully good to refute it and to affirm a kind of deep permission to give what I have to give and to thrive doing that. That is a big deal. So that's where I am today. If anybody has an analogous experience, I'd love to hear it. But send me a comment. But I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.